Well, despite Sylvia saying there wasn't going to be a sequel, here we are with No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle, which takes place 3 years after the original. You see, No More Heroes was originally a Japan-only release, but it sold like shit and was eventually released into America and Europe, where it gained a much larger fan base. Seeing the success of the first title in both the USA and Europe, Suda51 decided to make a sequel and release it to us with no mention of a Japan release. No longer ranked the #1 assassin, Travis, well, they never actually do explain what happened with Travis in the past 3 years. Their excuse?
There are people starting from the sequel who don't care about continuity, you know. Besides, it would take forever if I recapped every detail of your fall from greatness. Players would skip it. It's so boring.
Well, I guess you got a point there.
Okay, I guess I can buy that. After meeting and killing Skelter Helter, ranked at number 51, Travis decides to rejoin the United Assassins Association, after he's yet again promised some hot otaku sex from Sylvia. However, just soon after, a group of hired hitmen invade Beefhead Videos and murder Bishop. Upon having his head delivered to Travis's motel room, Travis decides it's no longer about his sexual needs, but for revenge. As such, it's now his goal to mow through the top 50 assassins of the UAA and get his revenge by taking out the #1 assassin, the owner of the Pizza Bat Company. Along the way, he'll reunite with Shinobu, who treats Travis as her master now, and Henry, still voiced by Quentin Flynn.
So Henry makes a cameo.
Now, I must warn new listeners out there, this review will be pretty spoiler heavy because there are a few things I need to discuss in terms of both story and gameplay. So if you do own the game and haven't beaten it yet, I suggest you look away until you finish it. For those who don't have it yet plan on getting it, watch at your own risk. If you don't care, then by all means watch on. Alright, in terms of structure, No More Heroes 2 changes quite a number of things from its predecessor. The first and most important thing is the hub world, or lack thereof. Yep, No More Heroes 2 completely scraps the hub world and replaces it with a menu selection style instead. So progress is made a hell of a lot easier, quicker, and less strenuous. Bravo, Suda51, now that's listening to the fanbase. Secondly, you no longer have to pay an entrance fee in order to participate in ranked battles. You just select it, and bam, it's level time. You know, 10 minutes in, and I'm already loving this game. So now that money is no longer needed for ranked battles, you're now just free to spend it on extra clothes, gym workouts, and new weapons. If you're playing for just a story, you'll be happy to know that money will no longer hold you back. Also gone are the assassin missions and the horrendous minigames. Instead, we get revenge missions and new 8-bit style minigames replicating something you play out of the NES. Revenge missions are side quests where Travis has the opportunity to exterminate the hired hitman that murdered Bishop. They're structured similarly to the assassin missions from the first game. Just kill all the mooks before time runs out and the dude is toast. The 8-bit minigames are eons better than the minigames from the first game. Not only is it easier to make money with these games, but they're also a blast to play. Well, most of them. I'm not really a fan of the pipe minigame, and this Tetris wannabe can kiss my taint. Oh, and that fucking Scorpion game also returns, which is like a giant middle finger to the people who hated it in the first game. The other games are great, but these three can suck my left testicle. Also returning is Area 51, the clothing shop which functions exactly like it did in the first game, and Naomi's Lab, who sells you beam katanas and a pair of melons. You get it? That was a breast joke. Because I'm a man. Yeah. Replacing Thunder Ryu's gym is Ryan's gym, which I can't fucking stand. Why? I'll save that for later. Alright, in terms of gameplay, there's been a few changes. First and foremost, the combat is a hell of a lot smoother from the last game, and I mean a lot smoother. Not only are chaining combos a cinch to pull off, but now you have more melee options which help lead into wrestling moves even better. The camera is also at a slightly different angle, which allows you to see more of what Travis sees. It's not perfect, but compared to the first game, it's definitely an improvement. The slot reel bonuses also make a comeback with some new flavor. Gone is Darth Travis, but what we get instead is a Tiger transformation, which absolutely destroys enemies. Obtaining 777s allows Travis to perform an area clearing attack, something that was in the original game, but I never managed to obtain it. The one you'll probably see the most, however, is the returning Strawberry on the Short King. A new feature added to your combat features is the new Ecstasy Gauge. Upon landing blow after blow on your enemies and without taking too many hits, the Tiger will begin to turn red and glow. When it reaches maximum output, you can press the minus button to enter Ecstasy mode, in which you become much faster and hit a lot harder, and pretty much become just about the definition of badass. It doesn't last forever though, so make sure you kill all the enemies you can before the gauge fully depletes. Also improved is your selection of weapons, and method of selecting them. In the original game, you had to return to the motel room in order to change weapons, but now you're always carrying every weapon available in your arsenal on your belt. With the press of the 2 button, you can select which beam katana you want to use and immediately switch to it. The best thing about this feature is the invincibility frames are given when changing weapons, so you don't have to worry about taking any hits when switching. In addition to your default blood barrier, you can also sport the quick-hitting Camellia Mark III, the large, powerful but slow Peony, or the Rose Nasty dual katanas when you obtain them. All these weapons kick ass in their own right, with my personal favorites being the Rose Nasty and Peony, which at first I thought was going to suck because of its slow swinging time, but the range it covers and damage it deals alone make it one of the best to use, especially against the fatties. Speaking of fatties, the variety of enemies have also changed. In addition to your regular goons and beam-wielding enemies and the returning gun wielders, we now have large enemies. This can range from fat-ass axe swingers, fat-ass chainsaw users, and big macho men who all have shitloads of health. I mean, look at this. And this is when I'm in ecstasy mode. Fucking die, you fat ass! Here's trouble in your virtual world. And I'm not getting my jollies, whatever the fuck that means. That about covers changes in gameplay. In terms of level structure, it's still pretty much the same. You destroy every mook you encounter and fight the boss at the very end. Now you may be thinking that since Travis is number 51 this time, you would have to fight over 50 boss battles, right? Hell no. The total number of boss fights is around 15. That's 5 more than the original, but that's still not 50. I mean, yeah, maybe 50 is a little too much for this kind of game, but the difference between those two numbers is staggering, and the excuses they give us for not having a lot of boss fights is just stupid. For instance, newcomer Nathan Copeland is ranked number 50th. Your next challenger after him is Charlie McDonald, who's ranked 25th. Now wait just a goddamn minute. Where are the other ranked fighters? Well, it turns out that each of Charlie's cheerleaders counts as a ranked fighter, which to me is just incredibly retarded.
You gonna fight me with all your hoes?
There's also a mention of a 12-fighter battle royale, which would have pitted Travis against 12 fighters at once, but nope. The returning Dr. Letchik fucks all that up, and Travis is immediately sprung into the 10th spot after beating him. That's really lame, guys.
Devilish laughter.
Now, I'm sure many of you know just from the trailers alone, but there's also a section of the game where you can play as Shinobu and Henry. Well, yeah, more Shinobu than Henry anyway. Shinobu's role is to kill 2 ranked assassins for Travis. Instead of wielding a beam katana, she just wields a plain old katana. She can also shoot projectiles with a charged attack and perform an NES jump. I call it an NES jump because it reminds me of many NES games where you had a jump in which you couldn't control your direction in midair. So as you can probably guess, when there's a jump feature, there's platforming, and God do I hate these sections! Now with each playthrough, I've learned how to better pace myself with the jump sections, but on your first time, I guarantee you will hate Shinobu's jump. Here's a little advice, don't try to jump to that platform from here, instead go down one level and jump from here. You'll save yourself a lot of frustration, trust me. Another thing that absolutely infuriates me with Shinobu is her combos. Whenever you finish a combo, Shinobu, for one reason or another, will proceed to slowly retract her katana and taunt the opponent, leaving her very wide open to enemy attack. Now with bosses, it's not so much of a big deal, because I can cancel the taunt with a dodge roll, but for some reason that doesn't work against fighting regular enemies, where it's really annoying. And sometimes the dodge roll cancel doesn't even work for bosses as well. Overall, Shinobu's segments aren't that bad, but they leave a lot to be desired. The only other advice I can offer is to keep charging your low attack, as it allows you to run faster and get the stage over with quickly. Now, in spite of how disappointing Shinobu was, I gotta say Henry's section is even more disappointing. Because this boss fight is the only time you get to play as him. Yeah, what a huge letdown. In addition to beam katana attacks like Travis, Henry can also shoot projectiles and perform a dash maneuver which allows him to home into the boss much quicker. After killing the boss, Henry proceeds to kill 3 more ranked assassins for Travis off screen. Henry, you fucking douchebag.
Because there's no way you can play through these fights. The game's stuffed full as it is. Pics came out nice though.
Okay, I think it's a perfect time to segue into the problems I have with this game. First and most importantly, the story is nowhere near as good as the first game, which to me was an incredible letdown. Now the game does have its moments, and the dialogue can be just as hilarious as it was in the first game.
Everybody deals with grief differently, right? Some people fuck at funerals. I cut off heads.
But these are incredibly downplayed by the more serious overtones the game sloppily throws at us. There are times where I feel the game forgets that it's supposed to be a parody of many anime cultures and instead tries to take itself seriously, which it fails massively at. Secondly, am I the only one who finds the whole Travis-Sylvia relationship to be incredibly phony? I mean, what the fuck does Travis see in this bitch? There are also these segments where we see Sylvia in some sort of strip joint in which she explains, in metaphorical ways, the plot progression of the game and the backstories of the ranked fighters. I hate these segments, there are way too many of these, and I always felt it was up to the ranked fighter to explain their backstory than rather have the same monotonous scene and setting having explained it for us. Speaking of ranked fighters, the bosses in this game are nowhere near as interesting as the bosses from the first game. Now, there are exceptions to this rule. Skelter Helter, Nathan Copeland, Kimmy, Dr. Letchik, New Destroyman, and Alice aren't that bad, but enemies like Chloe Walsh, Matt Helms, Million Gunman, and everybody else I haven't mentioned are just plain forgettable, which is sad for me to say. Also, some bosses are just incredibly annoying to fight. You'll lose more to Nathan's room than you will to Nathan himself. You'll spend most of your time chasing after Million Gunman and dealing with Shinobu's horrible platforming than actually fighting him, and you'll be chasing Captain Vladimir a lot. And then there's Jasper Bat Jr. Burn in hell! Some levels also have a tendency of going on far longer than they should. This parking lot? Yeah, you're gonna be here for a while. What exactly is the point of this sequence? This motorcycle part is pointless. Why isn't this level done yet? These sections are about as bad as the Warhawk sections in Sonic Unleashed in terms of length. The great gameplay and power-ups somewhat dilute this problem, but even at max strength, these levels tend to drag on for way too long. Now, I don't know exactly how to segue into Ryan's gym, so screw it. I hate Ryan's gym! To show you how much I hate these gym segments, I absolutely refuse to play the games again. Because of this, I have no actual footage of the training segments. So what exactly is the big deal with this? It's the goddamn muscle training! There are two types of minigames, stamina training and muscle training. Stamina training is easy, not a problem with it at all. Muscle training, however, is a huge ball kicker. I know it's not helping me with having no footage of it, but seriously, I hate the game that much. But the biggest problem with the muscle segments is that you have to be damn near perfect in order to get the upgrade to your strength. If you mess up only once or twice, you have to start all over, and that means you have to spend even more money on it. You're going to spend a shit load of money on these segments, trust me. So get used to playing the minigames a lot, only to increase your strength by one level. And the higher you go, the more expensive it gets, and the more frustrating it will become. Play for yourself and you'll see why I hate it so much. The only advice I can give is to abuse the pause button. Abuse the pause button. Ryan, your muscle training can burn in hell! However, even with all those problems I stated, the gameplay alone makes this game a worthy successor to the original. I mean, in terms of gameplay, this game is an absolute blast. And though I don't like the story nearly as much as the original, the absurd moments still stick out as being incredibly hilarious.
I can't. I feel like that pervy teacher in a porn.
The music is still just as great as the original, with plenty of new tracks to keep us entertained, and the graphics are definitely a step up from the original. Artistically speaking, this is one of the best looking games on the Nintendo Wii. This is a rare case in which a sequel does better with an area lacking in the original, but does worse in an area that excelled in the original. It's a trade-off. Sure, we'll give you better gameplay, but in return we're going to fuck up the story. Now, if Suda51 took all the things I loved about the original game, as well as the gameplay elements from the second game, then we might just have a contender for one of my favorite games of all time. And Suda51 has claimed that if fan response was strong enough, he would indeed make a third title. So here's hoping for a perfect third title. No More Heroes as a whole is definitely one of the best series of video games I ever played on the Nintendo Wii. The bloody combat, the absurd humor, and gameplay make it something that's truly memorable. And now the first game is being remade for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 with enhanced graphics and added features. The only problem is, it's Japan only. Yeah, way to make an enhanced port exclusive to the area where it's sold the least. Great logic there, guys. I'll give this game an overall rating of 8.5. Same as the original, but this time because of the gameplay, not the story. If you ever happen to come across these games in your local game store, I heavily suggest you pick them up. You won't be disappointed. With all that said, I'm Johnny of the Super Gamer Brothers. You guys have a great night. Thank you for watching, and the next review will be coming up soon. Oh, the ending sucks too.